I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is my modded adventure. Today, I'm left with a very difficult decision. This way, yes. I've got to make a decision, choosing what storage I'm going to be diving into, whether that's applied energistics or refined storage, because they're both in here. Now, the pros and cons of both are quite different. Now, let's think real quick that refined storage is like this chest. It's pretty nice, right? It can store items, and it can do the same thing that this barrel can do. And let's think this barrel is applied energistics. Everything's perfect about both of them. They both work, but they do have some caveats. This, if you place a block on top of it, you can't open it anymore. Whereas with a barrel, you can. Both have differing limitations, but at the end of the day, I will say that applied energistics, at least in this pack, with all of its add-ons, has way more functionality. Now, which one am I going to choose? Because the chest is way simpler, aka refined storage. It's super simple to understand and get into, whereas the barrel can be a little bit more complicated to craft. I think eventually we will be able to get into both of them, and today I want to start off with refined storage. But first, let me talk a little bit about the things that applied energistics has going for it. Now, applied energistics is kind of confusing looking when you look at it directly here, but there's a couple of things that I do want to mention if you are going to get started with applied energistics that might help you. And that is that it has a ponder system. Now, by default, it's not pre-configured, so you do have to set a hotkey. You can just search in applied energistics under your options and controls. Going in a little bit in depth, you can search for applied energistics. And the open guides button is what you're looking for. And you can go ahead and set that to a key such as W, which will work just fine. The cool thing is for all of these items, if you're curious how something works, you can just hold W just like create, and you get this wonderful menu that pulls up. And another cool thing is when we look at the items that are listed on the sides, we have tons of information. This is like the entire wiki here. And we even have examples that are set aside to explain how certain crafts and automations can be done, such as an amethyst farm, for example. It's pretty interactive. Now, that's all good and dandy, but there's some other things that you can also do with applied energistics related to Ars Nouveau. You can store source directly inside of storage cells, and you can also use peer-to-peer tunnels to send a spell through your network of applied energistics and send it to another location. That's pretty cool. You can use spell turrets to do that. And you can also power your entire applied energistics system with source using the ME source acceptor. All of this technically can make your applied energistics experience quite more fluid. And I think I want to get into this eventually. But with my current resources and the amount of things that I have at the moment, I think doing refined storage is going to be much more suited to our current standing. Now, you may be thinking, Chosen, how are you comparing a chest to refined storage? Like, refined storage is amazing. Well, it does have its limitations, and its limitations come in the form of crafting, because I do believe applied energistics handles crafting processes a lot better. And really, it does. You would have to take a deeper dive into the advanced crafting possibilities that applied energistics has to offer, which we'll most definitely get into. But today, refined storage is where it's at, as it is super simple to get started with. Now, some things I'm going to need to get started with refined storage. We are going to need slime, iron, gold, diamonds, and stuff like that. The thing that we're really going to need, though, is slime and string. Now, I do have the string problem solved, but the slime problem, not so much. Now, this is pretty cool because we do have some slime pearls, but I think it's because we don't have the smallest form of the slime inside of our containment jar. And if you know anything about mob drops, you know that the slimes only drop slime once the containment jar, once the slimes are in their smallest form. That's the only time you get the slime drops. So I'm going to need to get this slime down to its smallest form before I can start getting any sort of drops off of it. Now, to get a mob out of here, we need to use Dispel. And so I can use my Dispel on here, and that should do the trick. And now we have access to the little guys. And that's what I'm going to need. I'm going to need a small slime. I don't need you so much. We even ended up getting a slime head. Oh, this is adorable. Now this should solve our slimy problem. Now we should, with this done, we should be able to now get slime ball drops. So now that the slimes should hopefully be generating, we should be able to craft most of the things. And yes, slime balls are now generating. We do have these slime pearls, which can be converted into several slime balls, which is going to be helpful as well. Now, yeah, refined storage. It doesn't take too much to get into. You are going to need a bit of quartz, like quite a bit of quartz, and you're also going to need quite a bit of iron. And that's basically it, along with this processor binding, which is going to be string, and it's also going to be slime. So that is pretty much solved. And I'm going to be using this to make these raw basic processors. So a little bit of redstone as well. And then we also need this, and it is also quartz, but this is silicon. Now there's different variants that we can use, but the refined storage version basically says smelt down quartz and you will get silicon. And so that's what I'm going to need to do. And I might as well get a bit of this started. I'm going to use 4 stacks, and I'm going to have it smelted over here with my Ender IO system. Now be careful when setting this up, because if you do have this set to alloy and smelting, you may not get what you're actually trying to achieve here. You're going to want to set this and make sure it's specifically set to furnace only, and then put it in. Otherwise, you're going to be getting some glass that can be created from quartz. Now, after getting some of this material crafted up, all I need to do now is take a look at my quest, because there's some important stuff that needs to be gone over here. So in this, you can see that refined storage is better than AE2. And then over here, you can see that applied energistics is better than RS, which is just a funny little joke that I put in here. But over to the side, you can see all of the add-on mods that are in here for these individual mods. So you can see there's quite a few different little add-ons. They both kind of have this similar functionality, without this one, well, having that that energistics. I think I kind of forgot to put energistics over here, but that is in here, where you can mess around with source. Now, the thing that I want to focus on most, though, is the fact that if I make a crafting grid, I will get a controller as a reward. And then there's also some nice rewards associated with these mods. So each one has a set of different items that you can get a chance of getting. And so in this regard, or you get to kind of choose, I believe, once we get this done. So we'll get a controller, so we don't have to worry about making a controller, but it's not super difficult to actually make a controller. But that is how we're going to power our actual storage. So we need a crafter. Thankfully, we already have this Ars Nouveau storage, which makes getting into this mod so much easier. So refined, and then we need a crafting grid. And there's a lot of grids in here, but it's because most of them are just dyed. But the basic crafting grid is the one that is blue in color. And yeah, we're going to need these machine casings, which is going to require, like I said, a bunch of iron and quartz. So as much as of this that we can produce, the better. But just getting started, it doesn't really cost all that much. Let me make 2 of those for now. And then I'm going to get crafted, which we should have in storage. We should have all the materials needed. I don't know what's going on here. Crafter. And then, yeah, we should have advanced. Oh, we need to make destruction cores and construction cores. Quartz. I should have plenty of quartz. Time to head over to my quartz geo ore that I ended up setting up off camera. But we did find these last episode, and I went ahead and got the copper one set up as well. This is really trucking along. Look at all those gold shards. There's so much. And then these can get processed for right now. They can be smelted, which is what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and hop over here and get them all smelted up. Just like so. So yeah, we're going to be crafting a bunch of these construction cores over time. There's sort of like a little bit of a gate, right? Because this construction core requires you to go to the nether. All of this really requires you to have gone to the nether. That's the sort of gating that you have to go through with refined storage first. But here we go. We have a basic grid, but we need to upgrade this and make it a crafting grid. So now we have the crafting grid, and our quest line is now complete, and we can claim our new reward here. And we get to choose what we want. What would be a nice thing to choose over everything else? And I really think going for a 4K storage disk is our best choice that we can pick here. Now, if we get into any of these other mods, we do get more choice rewards that we can pick from. But this is really handy. Now we almost have everything we need for the refined storage, but there is another thing. We need something to put this disk into, and that is going to be a disk drive. So let's make a disk drive, just like so. And now we have everything. I'm going to need a Ender gate in order to start this up, but we should be able to start putting items in to our refined storage system. Now, I haven't figured out exactly where I'm going to put this just yet. So I think this is going to require a little bit of building, but I think right here is where I want my refined storage, but I want it inside of some sort of pillar. So I think after a little bit of building, it's not too bad. And I have this little bridge area. I think I want to still align this a little bit more with some slabs. But for right now, this is going to get the job done. So I have this nice little pillar in the middle, but this is going to be more than just a pillar. We are going to incorporate refined storage directly into it. So I'm going to clear out the center. And what I'm going to need to do is pretty much place in, for example, my controller. You can place that in right there. And then to power it, I will use my Ender gate. So let's power that. And you see it kicks on and it is ready to go. And this is going to lead to this screen. Now for right now, the screen is going to be on the inside, but I do want to get cables in later on that will make this a little bit cleaner, where it'll be actually flush on the face. Now, right now, it's not working because we don't have anything in here. So let's put a drive in. And now that I have a drive in, we should be able to start inputting items. So this is now storing 2 of 4,000 total items inside of our refined storage. That is pretty darn cool. And so we should be able to now migrate all of our storage items from all of our physical chests, and we should be able to put them inside of a digital storage, such as this. Now, from a distance, I do notice something that's a little bit off, and that is the fact that it's the wrong color. We should totally make it orange, because that fits the whole theme we've been going for. Now, that 4,000 storage is only going to get me so far, so I do need to start working on making more of those. That was just the one that was given to me, and if I sort of dive into more refined storage, I'm going to see that it does get a little bit more expensive to work our way up there, but I think we only need like 27 of these base storage tier 1s to get like a 64K drive, which will hold 64,000 items. The only thing holding us back in that regard is going to be quartz and glass and iron, and that's pretty much it. So with 27 base storage tier 1 parts, this should be enough to get us to the 64K. However, I'm going to have these basic processors to get me there. And notice we are going to run out of those fairly quickly. So that's something that I'm going to make a bit more of. And this is the point where I say it really does feel like you have all the items in the world until you get into one of these storage mods and you realize you need a lot of materials. But yeah, it actually didn't take all of that much to get this going. You do need a bit of diamonds in order to get that 64K. But outside of that, I should now have everything needed for that 64K storage part. Perfect. And then to combine that together, I do need a bit more of the quartz. Okay, perfect. So 64K. This is going to be pretty nice because I'm hoping that this is going to be enough storage to transfer all of my physical storage over to the digital realm. And that will help out a lot. Now, I'm still going to be using a lot of these storages that are over here, and we'll talk about that here in a second, but this should definitely help. And I should be able to essentially pop in here and pull out all of my stuff for the most part. And I want to pull it all out and make sure it goes into here. Now, before I fully do all of that, I do want to unlink a few storages. For example, I want to unlink this storage. This is something that I definitely don't want to just pull all the items out, because this is actually being used for some automation that we set up early on. But other than that, I don't want these right, that are all linked to it. I think these are linked to it, right? Let's position set. Oh no, these are not linked. So let's not use those. I don't remember if I ended up setting like glass to this. I did not set glass. Okay. So yeah, these things right here, they're not currently linked. And I don't want them to be linked to this when I start pulling out all of the stuff, because I don't want to pull out thousands of glass out of a drawer. Now, there technically are some faster ways that you can transfer items rather than doing it manually. But in my case, I'm going to be doing it manually for right now, just moving the items over. But if you did want to do it that way, all you'd have to do is either drag a cable from refined storage and connect it to your lectern, and then have a import bus import the items from your lectern into here, which is the way you can do it. You could use Ender chest or anything like that. The only problem is without any speed upgrades on that importer, you're going to run into some speed issues. It's not going to be very fast at all. You're going to need speed and stack upgrades in order to make it go faster. But it is a little bit more costly in resources to get those things. It didn't take that long at all, maybe a couple of minutes, but I now have everything sorted out. And you can see we just have some amethyst shards that are in here. And I think, I don't remember, didn't think I had the amethyst shards linked? No, I did not. So the only real thing that should now be filling up in here is going to be my Ars Nouveau stuff, right? So all of our essences will end up building up into this because they'll flow into these chests that we have set up. I'm just probably going to go in here and, you know, close out some of these crates. And, yeah, this area will be mostly used for the automations that you see here. And linking these up, we should be able to do before long. We're going to be able to have access to these containers with our refined storage as well. But there is something that I need to sort of talk about, right? Why did we just give up access to a storage that we could, you know, open up anywhere in the overworld? Like, I can open this up anywhere in the overworld. So why would I go ahead and get into refined storage, which isn't going to allow me to do that? Or is it? Right? Well, remember back to whenever we covered the scry crystal, because the scry crystal can work on this. So all I'm going to need to do is grab that scry crystal and just relink. That's all we're going to need to do. I need to face this towards our drive or towards our screen here, and this can access it as well. It's, yeah, just as simple as that. So in the back, what I'm going to do is place this. I'm going to need a block that is going to be on the back. So let's go ahead and do that. Put a block back here, and then I'll place my scry facing this, and then we can remove this for now, and get this all set back up. And all I need to do is just simply shift right click, and now I have my position set to that scry. And so opening this now opens up my refined storage. And this will work, this will work throughout the overworld. Now, it doesn't work cross-dimensionally, and for that, we will need other means, and that is going to be diving more specifically into refined storage. But for right now, we have access to it with ours, which is very convenient. We've got all of our storage and everything moved over and access to it, but what's the big draw of refined storage? Auto crafting. And the simplicity of its auto crafting. It is quite simply one of the simplest ways of doing it. Now, all we need in order to craft is going to be a crafter itself, and then we need a way to make a pattern to put into the crafter. And that means you need a pattern grid, some patterns, and then a crafter. It's that simple. Now, there are multiple different kinds of crafting that you can do. I'm going to go ahead and break this slot right here. Because what I'm going to do is put a crafter up here. Now, for right now, this is a basic crafter and has just basically a row of 9 slots. But if I was to, let's say, upgrade this, which we do have a mod in here that lets us do, we can then add more slots to this. And I think that's going to be amazing. So let's go ahead and cancel out of here and upgrade our crafter to an iron version. So this is going to give us more slots, which effectively is going to mean we can craft more. So you see right there, we already get 2 extra rows of 9. That is a lot. That's a lot of just doing standard crafts. Now we do need the pattern grid itself, and I'm going to include the pattern grid. Why not? We can attach it right here for now. Because the cool part about refined storage is you can connect blocks to other blocks, and it'll carry over the channel information, and all of that can be seen inside of this. And you can see at the moment we're using 25 FE per tick to run all of this stuff, and you can see every little thing that's connected. Now with our pattern grid set up, we can start to craft patterns. So with our first pattern, let's go ahead and make a pattern for making patterns. That's usually what I end up doing. Now I do want to set this to JEI synchronized, and we will go over to patterns, and then we'll make a pattern for patterns. Now this is wanting to use create framed glass, and you could remove the exact and it will use all glass that it can, but I want to go in here and I want to say only use vanilla glass. And I think if it had enough, it probably would have chose it first. And then I want to set this to exact to make sure it only ever uses regular glass. So now we have a pattern that makes patterns, and then we need to put that pattern in our crafter. And once it's in here, we can craft patterns. You would want to normally set up all of the prerequisites for crafting this, but I think we might have them. Let's just go ahead and craft one. So it is saying we're missing glass. Well, thankfully we have a ton of glass over here. So let's go ahead and grab a bit of glass to put into our storage. And then as soon as we have this, it should be able to craft it. So auto crafting at its finest, and perfect. Start. And now it is done. And now we have another pattern ready to be crafted, so we can make another pattern for something else. Now, because we crafted that item, we do get a new selection, but this time it's going to be random. And there we go. So what did we get? We got an external storage, which is a great segue into the next section. We can actually add other things to our refined storage. We don't have to use this digital storage. We can actually use really any inventory to store things in. For example, if I wanted to store items in this chest, I would just put an external storage on it, and then I would link that with a cable to our system. And at the moment, it's probably not going to have items go into it. Like if I put cobblestone in my system, it's probably not going to go into this chest first. It's going to go into our disk drive. Because we have priorities, and priorities are kind of important, they're a little bit on the techie side, but let's think of it this way. If I raise the priority here to 1, and everything else we consider to be on priority 0, this should have a higher priority. So items, if we put in or pull out of the storage, should go into this chest and work from this chest first. And then if there's nothing in here, then it will pull from this priority, which is set to 0, which is lower. And a way to see that is if I go ahead and I put this stone brick in my storage, it doesn't go into my digital storage. It should go into this chest. It's a great way to look at priorities, and priorities are a very powerful part of refined storage and even applied energistics. I will definitely be diving deeper into priorities later on as we get more advanced setups going. But for now, this is just a fantastic setup to have ready to go for our future endeavors. Man, the more I expand on this base, the more I just love it. I am using some of the new lanterns. This is from Additional Lanterns, orange andesite lantern. You can dye the lanterns different colors, like the base glow effect, but you can also make the frame different blocks. It's just a really cool little thing. And there's even more lanterns in here. If you find mob heads, you can actually skin your lanterns by putting mob heads on them, which is another little cute thing. So with refined storage set up, our future looks pretty good. I cannot wait to start digging down underground and laying out all of the cables, because that is a big part of refined storage, is getting cables all lined through your base into the builds and hiding them and making them look really nice. It's going to be very fun, and I can't wait to start working on that next episode. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to smack that like button and give that subscribe a little bit of a tickle if you haven't tickled it already. I really do appreciate it. And it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to... I can always mess this up. Goes out to Vorpal Saber. Thank you so much for your amazing support, by the way, over on the Discord, and becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Guys, if you did enjoy, I hope to see you in the next one. And you know how it goes. As always, thanks for watching. Bye.